Great Search, brought to you by DigiKey and Adafruit every single week. Lady Ada looks for things on digikey.com. We call this the Great Search. Lady Ada, what do you look for this week?
Okay, for this breakout, for the ACS 37800, which is a 30 amp AC/DC power monitoring chip. So this chip can monitor very high currents at fairly high voltages as well, 120 volts easily. And it's isolated from the rest of the electrical system. So good for measuring, like, I was mentioning, like lots of LEDs, like really big LED displays, stuff with motors, stuff with lots of solenoids, anything where it's like, before you know it, you're like dealing with 10, 15, 20 amps. We have some chips that can measure current at about 10 amps, but you need to use a sense resistor. This is actually uses like a totally electrically isolated magnetic sensor system. So the only thing about this chip is, in order to get the power into the breakout board, I need to have some way for people to plug or connect their power. And let's go to, what I wanted was a terminal block that could handle high current, 30 amps. But then as I was thinking about it, I was like, well, if I'm dealing with stuff like LED panels, like the Hub 75 style panels, I usually don't have bare wires. I have actually everything on spade connectors. And so I wanted to have a terminal block that was spaced far enough apart that you could use spade or lug connectors, which is what you're going to have for like very high current setups where you don't want these loose wires that are carrying 30 amps. You want something that's mechanically very sturdy. And so instead of using just terminal blocks, I decided to use barrier block terminal blocks. So they're very similar to terminal blocks, right? Where you would plug a raw wire in. These can handle raw wires, but what's really great about them is that they have literally a barrier in between. And so you can have the wire wrapped around, and you don't have to worry about it coming out, but also you can put spades and lugs in, and then you loosen it. You can put raw wire in just fine, but you can also put things that are like double pronged or have like a circular lug at the end. So let's look for, I need 3 pins because I need the power load and power minus, because you need both power wires and you also need the load output wire. So 3 pin outputs, barrier, and it has to handle up to 30 amps. So let's look for active 3 pin. I want 3 entries, 1 row. And current rating, 30 amps or above. So we'll just, I don't think I'm going to do something with 600 amps because that's probably going to be expensive, but I might as well, I'll get the little dash as well. I want something normally stocking. And I'm going to ignore the marketplace products for now. I'm just going to look at stuff that's stocked at Adafruit, at DigiKey. A lot of good options. So again, these are all really nice little barrier blocks. I like these. It's a very common thing. Some of them have like 3 sides. Some have 2 sides. I kind of like the 3-sided version. I don't know if I can select. Yeah, they're all going to, they have 3-wall or 2-wall. So let's go for the 3-wall. Kind of this 3-wall style. Tri-barrier. Because I don't want the wires to stick out and then accidentally touch the circuit. And all these have like 300, 600 amps. Some of them have 50, 45. Whatever. All looking really good. And then the next thing is there was the pitch. So to make it so that it fits onto this board, let's go into millimeter. I don't know what, for this, I just picked something that was in my library, but let's measure the pitch. So this is 9.5. So something like 9.5 isn't too bad. I have enough, I had enough space for the circuits. I can go a little bit bigger, like if I need to go 10, but 9.5 is pretty good. So let's see what's available. 9.5, 9.53. I think I'm not going to go to 11. That also cuts out the 45 and 50. So obviously if I was picking, there's a version of this chip that can do 90 amps. Obviously I would have to go with a totally different connector because, I would need to pick something that's so big it can handle 90 amps, but 30 amps is perfectly fine. Only 3 options, so that's kind of good. One isn't even in stock right now. I can do this one or this one. This one's a little bit inexpensive. It's also Amphenol, which I've used a lot. They're really trustworthy. These are basically equivalent. This one's my pick. This is the YK 4410 3030G. Let's see if we can get the 90% all rendering. Yeah. So you can see there's the tri-connect, and then there's little captive plates. It's kind of nice. And then, it's not too bad. All you do is you just have the pin solder in. You just put lots of solder in to mechanically connect it, and you're good to go. So that's why when I made this package, you see I made gigantic pads, big rings for lots of solder, lots of mechanical strength and electrical connectivity. So that's my pick for this week's Great Search from Amphenol.
Okie dokie.
Any tech.
To the Great Search.
Where